welcome. Jeff Heggie, Daily Success Strategies. Thanks for being back with me today. Today what I'm going to do is tell you some of the things that you need to do to make sure that you set the right goals for 2021, but also that you're going to achieve them and that you're setting them in the right way, that you're not limiting yourself, that you're going to achieve the big goals that you deserve. So first of all, I want to tell you about a phone conversation I just had. I have my brother-in-law Sheldon is my accountability partner. We have bi-weekly calls that we get on the phone, we talk about our goals, we talk about what we've done, what we've accomplished, what we're trying to do, and we hold each other accountable. And so we were having that conversation today. Like you, we're getting to the end of the year. We're talking about our 2021 goals. We're getting things set up. We're looking at the goals that we've been working on, what we've accomplished this year, and what we want to accomplish next year. So one of the things we talked a lot about that we've actually been talking about for a couple weeks is measuring. Measure is what we said. That's what the notes I wrote down. We've got to measure, because when you're measuring, you're going to get results better. I'll give you an example. So a while back, my wife and I, we both wanted to really get a little more serious about our fitness and get our weight where we wanted it and whatnot. And so we started really not only making sure that our workouts were good, but we started really measuring everything when it came to what we were eating. We were tracking our macros. We knew exactly what we were eating for our proteins, our fats, our carbs, everything. And we were getting some really good results. Both of us were. And there was a point a few weeks ago, I don't know how long ago it was, that I had some things happen that I stopped measuring. I didn't start eating terrible, but I stopped measuring, I stopped tracking exactly how it was, and she continued. What happened at that point was she continued on the path that she was on. She kept her goals, she was hitting them, she was doing awesome. With myself, I was still working out on a daily basis. I was still eating pretty good, but I wasn't measuring. And so my macros were all off, and my weight targets of where I wanted to be all started to go out the window. And it was all because I wasn't measuring and doing exactly what I knew I needed to do to hit the targets that I wanted to hit. And it's the same thing with any of our goals. If we're going to measure it, we're going to get the results that we want. And so when we're looking at our goals, that's one of the things I want you to focus on, is you've got to measure them. You know, there's tools that you can use, there's different things you can do, but you've got to measure it. You've got to know where you are, you got to know where you're going. Now, also with setting your goals, my friend Raylen Davis, follow him on Instagram at Raylen Leads. I heard him talking on Instagram, and I really loved the message that he was just sharing on Monday. He was talking about, don't base your goals on your past, because it really limits you, and you don't want to do that. It limits you on what you're going to set your goals as, thinking this is what I've done in the past, so this is what I can do in the future. Well, if you want to have big goals, you've got to not worry about what you've done in the past and look at the bigger story. Another story I'll share with you. I was on a call with my friend Richie Norton, and he was telling me a story of one of his clients. And when he told me about it, it actually opened up my mind. He told me something they had done and how quickly they had turned something around and the income it generated. And it just kind of opened up my mind to some of the possibilities of a certain program I was looking at and how I could structure it and how quickly it could generate some income and the things it could do. But without hearing that story, I probably wasn't looking at it from the right standpoint, and I was looking at it more of how I thought it could occur from things I had done in the past. But when you really realize it, that if you're looking at your past, it's limiting on what you're going to accomplish, but you've got to open up your mind more. And so I really appreciate Raylen's message that he shared and got me thinking about that some more. And now one other part about looking at your goals and what you're going to set your goals as. If you watched my Monday episode, if you watch it on YouTube, I recorded it from my hot tub here behind me, and it was dark outside, as you know. So when I came outside, I don't know what had happened, but for some reason, some of my lights around my trees and stuff weren't working, and I couldn't see one of the trees that I needed to walk by as I was going to the hot tub. But it didn't change the fact that it was there. just because it was dark, just because there wasn't a light on it, didn't change the fact that that tree was still there. And so that's what I want you to look at. Regardless of the darkness you might have in your life right now, the things that have happened through 2020, the trials, the failures, the setbacks, whatever it is, doesn't mean that the destination you're trying to get to isn't there. And you can still get to that destination. And what you need to know is you need to just know in your mind that where you're trying to get to is there, and you can accomplish that. And don't just think that you know that it's there. Know that it's there. When you start to visualize that goal that you have, you've got to know that it's there, and you got to know that you can accomplish it regardless if it's dark and whatever you've got to get through. That when you get through those steps, you know you're going to get there. Now, going back to my conversation with Sheldon, my accountability partner, as you're setting goals, it's a great way to help you to stay on track. I talked about measuring. Well, if you're measuring and you also are held accountable to it, it's going to make a big difference. An accountability partner is great. Someone that is going to follow up with you on a regular basis, but also hold you accountable. I've talked about having coaches and mentors. You don't want a coach or mentor that's just such a friend that they're going to let you off the hook. You need someone that is going to hold you accountable to whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And so one of the things Sheldon and I talked about is we like to set our goals and reward ourselves for achieving those goals. And so when we look at the goals and the things we're going to do, we're putting consequences in place, positive and negative. And I'll talk about the negative in a second, but when people think about consequences, they usually think about the negative consequences. Consequences can be positive as well. So we're putting our goals for 2021 in place, and if we achieve those goals, we're rewarding ourselves for it. There's some positive consequences for achieving those goals. Well, we also have decided that we're going to put some negative consequences in place if we don't hit certain targets of those goals. Because I'll tell you the example we used. We both want to make sure that we're getting a certain amount of exercise every week. And the example Sheldon used was maybe if we don't hit that target, one of the things we have to do is we've got to run a 10K or a half marathon in a Speedo. And when I thought about that, when he said that, it really is. There's a lot of power in that. There's probably more motivation for me from the negative consequences when it's something like that than from the positive. I mean, obviously we like to look at the positive and we want to keep our focus on the positive, but me getting some small reward for making sure that I stay exercising every day, I mean, the large reward is that I'm more fit and healthy, but the reward that we put in place is one thing. But the fact that I don't want to run a half marathon or a 10K or anything in a Speedo, that's probably going to be more motivating for me. So as you're setting your goals, think about that. Who's going to hold you accountable, and what are the rewards, the positive consequences? What are the punishments, the negative consequences? And how are you going to hold each other accountable to that? And looking at that, one of the things I had mentioned to Sheldon is it kind of gives us two whys to every goal. You've got your why on why you want to achieve a goal, and I've talked about that in other episodes when I talk about the 7 levels deep to determine what your why is. But this adds a second level of why, because you've got your main why, the true why behind it, but you've also got the why of wanting that positive consequence or wanting to avoid that negative consequence. So it adds a little more power to it. But I really want you to use these things to separate yourself, not give yourself any excuses, to really hold yourself accountable, have someone else helping you to hold yourself accountable. Set big goals, don't limit yourself on what those goals can be, and really make 2021 a great year, not using the excuse of everything that we faced in 2020, because who knows what 2021 is going to bring, but we can still achieve those things and have a successful year. Now, if you've been listening, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to be hosting a free goal setting masterclass. If you're looking to want to really set your goals for 2021 and set up yourself for success and really dig into some of these things and figure out your whys and really get some clarity on what your goals are for 2021, send me a DM or email me at jeff@jeffheggie.com, and just put in the subject 2021 goals, and I'll make sure to let you know when that masterclass is going to be. It's going to be free, and I just want to get a bunch of you on it with me. We'll get our goals all lined up so that we can enter 2021 with some clarity, some direction, and we know what we're going to accomplish in the year. And we'll set up some accountability with that as well. But thanks, and send me a DM. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to have you in that masterclass with me. Otherwise, if you've got any questions, send me a DM or email me at jeff@jeffheggie.com. Check out my Mindset Secrets course at mindset.jeffheggie.com. Otherwise, I'll be back with you tomorrow. Thanks for being here.